Hey y'all, welcome back to the Power and Lifting podcast. I'm your host, Solana Lewis. Today I speak again with the amazing Natalie Richards, and we talk about her performance at Sheffield that just passed, where she had an amazing performance, breaking and going above the world record total. And so we just dive into how her prep went since Worlds. We kind of pick off from her competition at Worlds, where she was the best lifter of everybody at Worlds in 2023, and her prep going into this Sheffield, how her and Steve were together, the highs, the lows, the actual experience of being there on meet day, what it was like to do meet and greet, all of it, all of it. It's great, good conversation. I love having Natalie on. I feel like I'm talking to one of my best friends over coffee. And so I feel like it's such a casual feel to this conversation. I forgot we were recording. So I hope you guys love the episode. Please, if you like our podcast, leave a 5-star review and a rating. If you're on Apple or Spotify, you can leave a review and a rating. And I really do appreciate it. We all appreciate it. It helps get the podcast out to more people. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. All right, y'all. I am back with the Natalie Richards. After you just finished competing at Sheffield, how are you feeling?
Hello. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm feeling good, a little hectic this week, getting back to the swing of things from traveling and getting sick and competing and everything. But now I'm feeling a bit better and getting back into training.
You did mention you had the plague, and I was like, okay, is the plague like full on COVID or just like sick?
I felt so bad. I don't know what I had, but like the 20 hours of traveling did not help. So I just felt super, super sick. But we're back into it training again. So now I'm back from the dead.
How long after a meet do you usually start training?
Well, honestly, I was supposed to start training last week and I only got like one day in before I called it just from being not feeling the best. But typically I only take like a couple days off from the gym because if I wait and take a full week off or something, I come back and just feel super, super detrained. And it ends up taking basically like over half a block to feel my normal. Whereas if I just hop back in the gym after a couple days off, I don't waste that like 2 weeks of being detrained. I can just kind of get back into it.
I'm the exact same way. I'm so disgusted how quickly my body just detrains.
Yeah,
Like
it
it's
just gives up.
like yes, like
Yeah.
especially squat and bench. It's just like horrifying. Like I don't know how to squat at all. I'm like, it's 2 weeks of Brad telling me, "Can you please like not be stuck in your heels?" And then you just like shoot forward. I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
can't stop it. Like,
But I just like forgets. And bench is so technique focused as well. So I don't know like how many times do you bench a week? Is it 3 times a week you bench?
I'm for
4 times a week? Exactly.
yeah.
4 times a week, very tech focused. I bench 4 or 5 times a week as well. So if I miss, let's say even 2 bench sessions, I'm like, oh my God, how do I bench press? So
I
yeah.
know. And then sometimes I like forget how like I'm just in the world of powerlifting. I was talking to someone who like coaches at a gym about how much I benched like 2 days ago, and he was like, "You bench 4 times a week?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like I compete in powerlifting." It's like, "Yeah, but like why would you need to bench 4 times?" I'm like, "All right, forget it. Like y'all get it." Like
Yeah. I mean, hey, like the average gym bro, like they probably do bench like that many times a week because they aren't doing leg day. So really, like he shouldn't be that surprised.
my friend used to call them Doritos.
That is like basically I feel like Gold's Gym's branding because I used to work at Gold's Gym and that was like I feel like the ideal clientele was like mostly Dorito shaped.
Oh my god! I worked at Equinox, and yes, they were half Doritos or the member obsessed with cardio, just like the woman, which is hilarious to me.
The cardio is good. It's good heart health. I can't shit on them too much.
Okay, so the last time we spoke, your third time on the podcast, it was after World,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
yes, where you had to shit on me because I totally did not pick you to win, and then you kind of were the best lifter at Worlds, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I must, but I gracefully said you were correct. I was just very very
Mm,
wrong.
yes. Yes. I remember that vaguely, yeah.
And I will say your dad now likes me because he let me
Oh
sit
my God.
behind y'all and gave me the ticket for whoever is supposed to be behind you guys.
Oh yeah, I heard about that like ticket fiasco going on. So see, yeah, it all worked out. The whole fam came together.
But I have to ask, so that was June of 2023. Sheffield was obviously February.
Yeah.
In that time frame, you're obviously still working with Steve Novi. Were there any major changes made to your training? Because your training obviously went great going into Worlds, but also we now had to ramp it up even more for a bigger meet, right?
Yeah. So like there weren't a ton of changes. I think there was like some things that Steve played around more with, like the bench frequency, the squat like pattern that we've kind of found out that's worked really well with my peaking, and then just kind of progressing like the baseline that we already built. And I think that's how we kind of like just chipped away and added kilos to my total, because I hit a pretty stupid squat PR of 6.5 kilos in that time. And we literally did not change anything with squat at all throughout, what was it, 6 months till Sheffield. We kept the secondary squat day the exact same. I would just pretty much repeat it and add 2.5 kilos when I could, or some blocks it would almost be the exact same weight. And just keeping that super consistent just allowed my primary squat to just go absolutely crazy. So I think that's one thing that Steve has probably already touched on in another podcast that I'm repeating somewhere. But that is one thing that I think was super consistent with my training. And then obviously increasing bench from 4 times a week to 5 times a week benching was really, really helpful. Like I've tried to bench 110. Like I think I failed it for like 5 meets in a row or something crazy. Like I've always missed it. So it's huge to finally hit on the platform. Then deadlifts were just really, really consistent as well with the kind of off-season training.
So one thing I definitely think a lot of new lifters think is that you should PR like every block.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like a lot of people come to me, they're like, yeah, like, I feel
Definitely.
like at the end of the block you should like PR. So as someone who is one of the best lifters in the world, how often are you actually hitting a PR in your lifts block to block? And are your blocks 4 weeks long?
They're either 4 or 5 weeks long usually, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think 5 weeks. Um like that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of when I do PR, because it's not like I ramp up to a heavy single literally every single block. My God, I would be so tired. Like I think I hit like probably a bench PR like once or twice. I think I hit like 110 then 112, kind of like a touch and go-y type situation. And then like and that's over 6 months. So I hit it once or twice in 6 months. And then squat, I just hit a PR one time again throughout the 6 months when I had like kind of the heaviest lifts leading up to Sheffield. And deadlifts, I don't think I hit one PR one time. So let's say 6 or 7 months, and I'm hitting one heavy single for a PR. But I'm still keeping my other factors consistent and hitting rep PRs, hitting variation PRs. So I know that I'm improving, but it's not like I'm out here testing my 1 rep max every 5 weeks. And that's one thing that if you're a new lifter, you don't need to do that. Like it's not worth it. And you're probably just going to risk being injured and not actually peaking on the platform.
100%. I'm so happy to hear you say this because, like, yes, I know this, but I
Right.
just talked to so many people who really are underneath the perception you should be PRing all the time. But what's really major is like the rep PRs, the variation PRs. Like those are PRs that you can hit way more consistent than obviously a 1 rep max.
Yep. And like that's like a really easy way to kind of track and have fun with your progress too. Because if you're a person who's motivated by numbers and you're like, man, like I want to hit, heavy singles like, year round, but it doesn't really improve my training. Okay, well, maybe track like a 4 rep squat PR or something. Like just have fun with that.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you so after Worlds, did you just sit at 57? Like, where do you normally sit walking weight?
Yeah. So like I'm a big like bulk cut cycle type person. Like I don't, go crazy in the off season, and I do my own nutrition. So like after Worlds, I kind of hung out in maintenance for a while because I traveled and did a bunch of stuff afterwards. And then I started slow bulk, and I'll bulk up to like 60 kilos, and then I'll maintain that, and then I'll come back down slowly to like, I don't know, 58-ish is usually my target before I gut cut, 58 to 59. And it's just like these small, like, I don't know, 1 to 2 kilo kind of variations. And I make sure that I'm kind of eating in line with my training too. If I'm doing hypertrophy training, I make sure I'm eating a lot. If I'm cutting, I usually try to do that earlier to where I'm not hitting super heavy weights and trying to cut like a ton of body weight as well.
I don't know how you do on nutrition. Like as a fellow nutrition and powerlifting coach, I just can't. I already talked to you, but I had to go back to you.
Yeah.
You don't understand how bad.
I'm
How
sure
do
you're
you
doing
have the
great, Solana.
discipline? No, not when I tell you. I think yesterday I had 60 grams of protein, probably the whole day. It's that bad.
Yeah, you need to eat protein. But
Like,
it's easier said than done because sometimes you just need that person to yell at you and say, "Hey, eat your protein." I understand.
no, accountability is like the only way I
Yeah.
get through anything in my life.
No, I completely understand too. And sometimes like, you know, it is a little bit more challenging because I'm like, if I cheat on my diet, who's gonna know? It's just me and myself. But then, it's like the self-discipline and all that crap comes in where, you wanna make sure that you hit your goals and whatnot. So I try not to be too bad about it.
I just commend that you can handle that. Like, I think because listening to so many Sheffield podcasts, I'm like, I keep hearing everybody have a nutrition coach. So I'm like,
I feel like everyone did have a nutrition coach.
I think so.
I really do think so as well. I was talking to Kedrick because he was at Sheffield and he's a nutrition coach as well. And I think he did like literally half those people's nutrition plans into the meet. I was like, oh my God, this sounds very stressful. But like people had their coaches there, they had their nutritionists there, they had their family there. Yeah, that was crazy. It was a whole squad.
So speaking of squads, do you have anyone on your squad besides Steve? Like, is there a PT, physical therapist somewhere? Like, who is your team that helps you get to this high level?
Just me and Steve.
Hey.
But like professionally from a personal like coaching relationship, usually just Steve. I don't have a PT. I don't work with anyone to do like any body work because I haven't felt like the need to do it yet. We do have like a PT guy who's in-house at the gym I train at. So if I do need someone, I've already have that kind of relationship with him. And then really the people who keep me like sane are the people at my gym that I feel like they're my team too, because they're always like with me pretty much every single training session now. And they give me commands. They help me make sure that, I'm hyped going into my lifts and things like that. So I feel like I have a really, really good community with me at all times, pretty much.
I love that. I'm totally gonna cheat. I'm totally gonna say something. Jovi's gonna be mad at me. So I got breakfast, right, with Jovi and Steve and his wife Cheris. And I was like, finally, I want the whole game plan. Like, it's the day of. Like,
Oh my
just tell
God.
me the legit. I want to know everything because obviously I can't know because we do a preview show and Steve knows me. Don't tell me the whole game plan. I'm about to just say the whole thing on the show by accident. So he tells me, right, and then Steve and Cheris are talking about how like you were like such a phenomenal client and like you're just so straightforward. Like, I'm like, you tell me the stuff he needs to hear and like you're not like a mess. And then Jovi's like,
Wow.
wait, she doesn't like Jovi's like, wait, she doesn't like complain to you. And Jovi's like, is it just to me? And
Oh
you're
my
like,
God, I'm
what?
dead.
He's like, yeah, she doesn't like panic and freak out with you. She does to me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Steven and then Cheris goes, Steve just talks about how she's the calmest lifter.
Oh my God, you can't blow my facade. I am obviously the calmest lifter ever. Like, okay. Sometimes I will text my friends some things if if I'm a little bit having a weird training session. Yeah, it has happened. But I try not to let that cloud my judgment when I'm giving feedback.
See, and that's why you're better than me because when I tell you, Brad knows whenever I'm panicking. And I don't panic that often, but I'm not going to Sheffield. I'm going to not Sheffield. So when I
So
panic, the
stressful.
only person who knows is Brad. I'm like, Brad, help me now. Please help me. Leave your children. Come to me.
Oh my God.
Literally
Oh.
me.
Hey, and you get it done. You and Brad to get it done.
Okay, so
Yeah.
as you are prep, so obviously your first real travel meet was Worlds,
Yeah.
where you really
Yeah.
had to travel. Was there any stress just with knowing like I think there's more travel. Was there more travel for this meet actually than South
Um,
Africa?
well, whoever booked my return flight back, spoiler alert, it was me. Fucking messed it up. I scheduled 25 hours of travel back somehow. That was the worst decision ever. I had 3 layovers, but on the way there, it was super easy. I just went to Atlanta and then flew out of Atlanta. So it was like, I don't know, what is that? 10 hours total? Not bad at all. That was fine. On my way back, it was 25 because I went to Florida somehow and then Atlanta and then Charlotte. So it was rough. Yeah, that was on me.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it was awful. And like I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi in Florida either. And I was trying to do like all my work. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So yeah, travel there though was completely fine. And we got in ahead of so much time. So I had like a couple days to relax, walk around. It was actually no issue at all. It was just a little bit chilly, a little bit cold over there.
See, maybe it's because of where you're from. Because I was chilling. Me and my friend Oli were so happy with the weather. But
Oh,
I'm from
really?
Jersey. It's just cold up here, I guess.
I guess I'm technically in the South. I'm in North Carolina. So like
That's not.
if it's below like 45, I'm like, whoo, it's a little chilly,
Yeah,
you
nah.
know?
Y'all tripping. I'm like, if
Yeah.
it's above 35, I'm happy. I'm
Oof. That's why I thought it was cold then. But travel itself, no, not an issue. That was, I think, easier than Worlds, probably.
nice. I know
Yeah.
you gut cut. So by the time you got there, did you just have to gut cut, or were you still eating like some regular food?
I'm pretty sure I gut cut. I started gut cutting immediately because I remember packing my almonds on the plane to eat when I got there, which was a little bit hard on the first day because with the time zone change, by the time I got there, it was like 1 p.m. and I had all my gut cut food to eat. And I was at training hall getting my lifts in and trying to eat almonds, but I had my suitcases and baggage with me too. So yeah, good. Just started gut cutting immediately and did that, up until obviously Saturday morning.
Yeah, but did you get there?
What is that, 3 days out? So Wednesday left.
Okay.
Yeah, left my home on Tuesday and got in Wednesday, like morning-ish.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I do know that Peace Fence has like multiple events leading up to, well, events not the right word, but like stuff for you guys to do
Like
leading
media.
up
Yeah.
to, yes. So what was that like? I know it was your first time doing that. And as powerlifters, I feel like Sheffield's the first meet where like y'all really come out there and you're performing. Like it's the
Yeah.
first meet where it's like that. And so do you feel like a real, like a legitimate athlete, not just a powerlifter, but like a real athlete that people give a shit about?
Definitely. And I think that's what Sheffield has contributed a lot to the sport of powerlifting. And I think one of the biggest contributions it's made, especially very noticeable this year with how quickly tickets sold out, and they're already selling out for next year, is that they've made powerlifting not something to be like, oh, it's a hobby, oh, they powerlift. No, like, no, they're a professional athlete. And it's because of the media days that you're being treated very seriously. They're hyping up each individual lifter, and it's making people want to watch the sport, not because they know the lifter, but because the lifter is actually there. And that's a huge like distinction, I think, from like a like local powerlifting meet or a state meet where a lot of the crowd is usually there just for their like, daughters, friends, family members. This is a meet where like it's 20, I don't know, how many people was it? 2,200 people in the audience who probably don't know the lifters personally, but wanted to watch them lift. And I think that's why the media was so much fun beforehand, because you knew that this was going to be promoted on the big screen or going to be put out on Instagram or something. So that was really, really cool. And I think like one of my favorite parts, like overall, was after competing and doing the meet and greets. That was so cool because it was so much fun to meet all the people who came out and watched us at Sheffield. Because I know that they really cared about the sport and they were so excited to see their favorite lifter just like go out there and do their thing. Oh my God, it was awesome. Like that really made me feel like a professional athlete, but also just like a true enjoyer of the sport because so many people love it just as much as I do.
I will say too, like you were smiling so hard in meet and greet. I kept glancing over, and you just was like, you're like, oh my
It was
god,
so
this is really
fun.
happening.
Everyone was so nice. Oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was really, really
Oh my
cool.
god, it was because when I went to, we're gonna go back to performance, but when I went to meet
Yeah,
and greet, I was literally after the
yeah,
performance. Like, I think what really took me aback was seeing who was like the most popular lifters. I truly felt like obviously there's a winner, like number one for men and
right.
female, and then everyone from America had like such long lines. I was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I think America really has the people who like who put out the kind of content that makes people more interested in watching them. You know what I mean? Like, because some
Yeah,
people like just post like maybe just their lifts, like they don't really talk. But like the American lifters, like y'all be talking on your Instagram, like you put stuff up there and makes you want to like be interested in following the person.
right.
So I thought that was cool to see.
Yeah, I think you can definitely like tell like a lot of the powerlifters there have I think a big online presence. Like obviously, I think like Gavin, I think has a YouTube channel. A lot of these guys, Jesus has YouTube channels. Very, very, like talking, personable people, and it was probably really, really cool for them to meet like all the fans who watch their content. And then Pana is obviously like probably one of the most popular people in powerlifting of all
Yes.
time. And I think his line was still lining up after the cutoff time of like 11 o'clock. People were still trying to talk to him. And that just goes and shows like how influential powerlifters can really, really be.
I know, literally, yes, you're right. Like when Panda was trying, like they were like forcing people
Yeah,
out.
they were
There was
forcing
like
people to leave.
three or four people who were like, wait, and like I literally had to wait till everyone went to get food, and I snuck in because I technically don't belong there, but I think I know everybody. You're like, just let me in, and that's why I gotta say hi. Cause I was like, at no point could I say hi to you in the 3 hours of this
Right,
meet and
yeah.
greet.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely just chatting away with like all these people. It was so cool to see.
Oh my god. All right, so let's get to actual
Oh yeah, so I did
day
lift.
of. Yeah, you did some lifts. You're pretty
I did
good.
lift, yeah.
So just like when I got to see where the warm-ups were, I could see like they were downstairs, you had to take an elevator up. So
Mhm.
what was it like even going up and because now you got to see last year's Sheffield. So you heard
Yeah.
about the crowd, the roaring, and you're like expecting it. Like what was that moment like when it was time for you to go out there and like you can actually see a massive audience you've never seen in your life?
Yeah, that was nuts. That was absolutely nuts. And like I was so proud of myself for not bombing out on squats because I immediately thought I was going to. The
Why do you
second
always say stuff
the
like this? Like,
second I saw the crowd, I was like, "Oh my God." Like your heart just kind of drops a little bit. And like usually I go out to the platform and I'll do like a little like either a little yell or do something to kind of get myself hyped up. I think I walked out there and I screamed like immediately, like trying to turn my mind to not be scared of like the noise in the crowd. And I just yelled as loud as possible on the like opener attempt and immediately like broke my voice box. But like it was very nerve wracking. And I think a lot of people would agree, especially on squats, because you look out to the crowd to try to spot while you're doing your lifts, so your head's not moving around. In the first two lifts, I couldn't see anything. I felt like I was squatting with my eyes closed. It was really hard to see because I couldn't spot anything in the crowd. It was so dark and there's so many people. And by the time I got to my third attempt, I figured out what I needed to do, but it was just crazy nerve wracking walking out on the opener attempt. But then afterwards, it got a little bit more fun.
what did you
Yeah.
need to do? Like who'd you look at for third
I
attempt?
whoever was sitting in the fifth row and had a bald head, I looked directly at that light reflection. So thank you. Yeah, I just tried to find one stable object out there, and my third squat was by far my best squat. The first opener and second felt very weird, but third one was good.
Well, the good news is I couldn't tell.
Okay, good.
So
Yay. I mean, like you legitimately do, I think, have to fake it till you make it at those points because you can't prepare for that if you've never done it before. And I'm hoping next year I'll have a little bit more of a cool head on my shoulders when I'm lifting, but it's just something that you can't 100% prepare for until you experience it. And that's all you can do is just kind of either yell or do your normal thing, just set up your routine, no matter if there's 5,000 people watching you.
and one thing you told me last podcast was you don't pay attention to the numbers and what's going on. But were
Mhm.
you aware that you were like going for a world record squat when you went for your third squat?
I knew that, yeah. I don't pay attention to like the numbers game or anything like that. I'm trying to see what's loaded, but I knew that that was going to be in the cards and the plan. And yeah, I knew that. I saw that on a big screen as I was walking out. It was like world record. So it was hard to ignore that one because it was so loud.
You're like, it's in my face, and the announcer's right behind me.
Yeah. So okay, got it.
But yeah, you're right. That like the third, like your actual world record that you hit, that definitely moved the smoothest. And
Yeah.
if you had seen like sitting behind your parents,
Oh my God.
I had so much fun. Like the way they were emotional for you, I was like, oh my god, like screaming their hearts out. Yeah! Like, oh my god, like that's kind of like it's like when you know someone's mom is there and like
Yeah.
you don't even have to meet the mom, you just know it's the mom. Like that was what was
Yeah.
going on.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's like really cool because the first meet they came to was Worlds.
Mhm.
So now they get to experience Sheffield. I think this was a little bit more fun. So that makes me happy.
And when you say that was their first meet, it's like I wonder if they think this is like regular powerlifting. Like just so you know, like my mama's first meet was RPS,
Oh my God.
12 hours long. Okay,
Oh,
so they
classic.
might have a faltered skew perspective of like what powerlifting meets are really like.
Absolute classic. I won't tell them to come to a local meet quite yet. Yeah.
At that point, they'll be like, "What the hell is this?" Like,
It's a totally different, yeah, it's a totally different setup. And there's honestly nothing like Sheffield, or I would argue like Worlds too, because Worlds is very, very quick. Yeah.
very true. Going into bench press, so watching the benches that I could see on your
Yeah.
Instagram, that was definitely the lift that you were the farthest ahead on when it came to like the direct battle with Jod. 110 moves so easy, like it moves so well. Did it feel easy to you? Like,
Well, bench is like super hard for me to gauge on meet day. So usually I just trust the attempt selection, and usually the 2.5 kilo jump is perfect for me from the second to third. Like if I try a 5 kilo jump, sometimes it's just a teeny bit too heavy. So I was really, really happy and surprised with bench press, as that was my, like, I always miss a lift before meet day, and I missed anything over 100 kilos the week out per usual. So, and I'm opening at 100 kilos. So I was like, oh my God, this sucks. So I was the most nervous for it, but obviously it tapered just fine and peaked beautifully. So I was able to come out and hit 2.5 kilo all-time PR on bench press. After getting my opener, I felt really, really confident on bench. Nothing felt hard. I think I maybe could have done 112 on the day, but I'd rather make sure I secure those kilos than try to push it too much.
so I just finished a podcast with Kristen, and we were talking about how I was talking about how like when I missed a lift like a week out from the meet, I have to work so hard to not fixate on that lift. So like, how did you go out there? Like, what was your mentality when you were like, okay, like I literally failed this like 4 days ago? Like,
Excellent. I kind of like cued as well that we had talked about, and visualizing successful attempts and rewatching videos of successful attempts. So it doesn't matter if you miss like one or two a week out, because you're going to be super gassed. Could be weird fluke things happen. The bench is different. You're traveling, different conditions. So just visualizing what I've been doing for the last year helps so much, because that's so, so consistent. Where if there's one or two bad sessions, whatever, try to throw those out, because they're not going to do you any good thinking about those. So that's what I did, focused on. And then I had, like I said, a couple bench days before. Like I think I literally had a Friday bench session. So I had a bench day right before I competed. So it felt nice to get that kind of under my belt before stepping on the stage.
so you did your last bench literally the day before.
Yeah, it like usually I do sometimes I've had a day off before, but I think I had like 2 sets of Larson bench press on that Friday before I competed.
Did they provide a training hall in the actual city hall for you guys?
There was the training facility at SBD headquarters, and they have all the Alico racks there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot for a moment that SPD is literally from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was like 5 minutes. It's like a 5 or 10 minute drive. It's not far. Yeah, yeah.
Dope. Okay, so deadlifts come around. You have no clue how y'all's doing. Like you don't even ask.
No.
I don't understand how you can't even glance over. Like, I just couldn't
I'm just
not.
like trying to not to die. I am focused on myself and with my headphones on. That's my goal for the day, is to just handle myself.
All right. So part of me hates you for saying that. Just kind of just like, why can't you just look a little like, hey, yeah, I knew she was doing well. Like,
Well, I
but
knew that
fine.
she did, was doing well, because we like are all in the back together, so you can read people's like facial expressions. But like, nah, that's just not my cup of tea.
Fair. But we go on for deadlifts. Now, deadlifts look like they were popping. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, your opener, like, I saw you celebrate after the opener. You're like, oh, okay. I
yeah.
was like,
I legitimately think I could have pulled 240 on that day. I felt so strong. Like,
that
yeah.
I was like, she had minimum 5 more than what she loaded for third. Minimum. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was flukes happen. I got my opener very, very quickly. My second attempt felt great. The bar felt a little bit slippy on the second attempt, but it wasn't like a big deal where I was worried about it by any means for the third. I put more chalk on, and I feel like that might have been a mistake because either the chalk or the bar was slippery, or there's baby powder somewhere on my hands. But it just that was it. It was just a weird fluke. The baby powder, the bar, the chalk, whatever it was, slipped right out. So to prepare for that next time, I'll just bring some liquid chalk. There's not much else you can say or do. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Can't be mad at it. It is what it is. But deadlift strength, I was so happy with. And I hope that at Worlds, I can just do something absolutely stupid and hopefully can be the last pooler on the day because I'm tired of going second to last.
That's a big thing. You're right, because like with how strong you are and you and Ja being so close in number, that little extra oomph to be able to know you're pulling last, we all know
Yeah.
that's like a big advantage.
Yeah. And this, like, honestly, until I got to Worlds, I'd always pulled last. But I mean, it's really awesome to have a competitor that's super, super strong and challenges me in different ways. So I'll just have to be stronger, honestly, on deadlifts and work on that in the off season.
I did also hear from Carlina because her second attempt slipped out of her hand, and then she
Yeah.
used liquid chalk, and then that helped her. So I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe the chalk wasn't great because other people kind of mentioned.
Yeah, I had like a couple gals reach out to me and like because I think I posted briefly on my story about missing it just because I think people were asking about it. So I posted that it just slipped. And I had a couple gals reach out say the same thing. It happened to them. And I think it happened to like a couple guys. Like it does. They're weird meet day flukes happen. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
crap on anything or anyone, but liquid chalk, whoever, someone send me a recommendation for which brand I should buy because I definitely will use some in training going forwards.
100%, because it was like 99% done. So,
Yeah, that's rough. But it is what it is. You can't dwell
yeah.
on it. You can't be mad at it. You just got to get better.
But overall, the amount of strength you've accumulated since Worlds, I'm just like, I don't know, like, no matter what, and I would say with my whole chest, like, you are the stronger 57. People can say that's not true. That's fine. It's my opinion. Don't sit here and don't say no. No, don't do that. Okay. You have like the amount of strength you have is so insane and how quickly you're gaining it. Whereas Job was incredible, and obviously she came out on top, but you can just tell she was just closer to her top end. So I'm just like, where, like, how much further are you gonna go come like this year? I don't even know.
Hopefully far. That's the goal at least. Because like the competition's so close. Whether it's me and Jad or someone new's coming, if you like take your foot off the gas for even a little bit, someone's gonna be coming for you. So hopefully me and Steve can put together something pretty darn good in the off season and then just have some fun at Worlds is the goal at least.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, now what was it like being coached by Matt Gary on meet day?
Oh yeah, Matt's great. Matt and Susie are so so nice. It was awesome having them there. Matt, very very focused, excellent, like one of the best I think handlers in the game. He had like every single attempt selection like in his hand all at once, like shuffling through them. Like he was absolutely on it. Everything went flawless. I couldn't have asked for better game day handling, honestly. I knew that him and Steve were also talking the entire time too. So open communication. I think Susie was in there. It was
Mm-hmm.
really, really great. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was cool because I got to talk to Susie right after, and we were talking about third attempt, and I was like, I think that was still like the perfect number to low, like no matter what, like the
Yeah.
attempt selection was on point. And
Yeah,
then
no.
she was like,
I'm
yeah,
so
like she was like, Matt is so Matt is so nice. Like he was like, I don't know. And then Susie's like, what are you talking about? And like, they had a whole conversation in the group chat going. And
yeah.
I'm like, wait, y'all were all talking in the group chat the whole time? Like that.
Yeah, like attempt selection was absolutely perfect. Like yeah, I have no qualms. I PR'd my total and I didn't even get
Yes.
like my third deadlift and I still PR'd my total. Like
I
that's huge.
know. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, it was perfect attempt selection. And actually, he's going to be co-coach of the Team USA. So I'll
I
be
know.
working directly with him again in Lithuania at Worlds. Yeah.
Which is such a good, that must be a good feeling because it's someone that you now personally experienced. You're like, okay, like I know this person when it comes to attempt selection is open to listening very
Yeah.
thoroughly to my coach.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a really great feeling, and it's great to work with someone who cares this deeply about powerlifting and understands where the athlete's coming from with their goals, attempt selections, the points they want to get for Team USA, everything that's kind of lined up. It's really, really great to see someone like that be in a coach position helping the entire Team USA because it's going to go really, really smoothly this year. I already know it.
Awesome. How was the banquet?
Oh, the banquet was good. Yeah, I forgot about the banquet.
You
It's
be
been
forgetting
so
though. You're like,
long.
I forgot I even left the States.
I
You're like,
forgot I even went on this trip. Oh my God. Banquet was great. We all dressed up. We all looked like human beings and, nice clothes. It was really fun. Got a little drunk and ate, I think like fancy duck was the course. It was really, really nice. Yeah. And I got to chat with a lot of powerlifters too. It was really cool.
Was there any powerlifter you got to meet that you were like, yo, we had the best conversation. I'm so happy I got to meet you.
Like all of them,
Okay.
literally. But it was awesome. I would say talking to Carlina a lot because she's so nice and
I know, right?
experienced. And I was like, hey, like, are you freaking out? Because I'm freaking out about like competing and stuff. And she would just like talk, man. It was really, really nice.
I love that. She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she's so nice.
I think honestly, my highlight for meeting people, I got to talk to her coach finally in person. And,
Oh
and that was so
yeah.
fun.
He's a hoot.
I
Yeah, yeah.
know.
He's a hoot. Yeah, he was great too though. Yeah.
Yes, that was and then I ended up running into Joy Lamani during the meet and greet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I did
Yes.
us together.
Yes. I was like, Joy, I ran into Joy and met her for the first time in person. I was like, hey girl, when are you coming back down to the 57s? But hopefully soon, maybe. I don't want to say what she said, but hopefully.
I was about to say, see now that's dangerous because now I'm gonna ask you what the answer was.
Yes. She said, I think she said perhaps, maybe questionable, something along those lines. So we can only hope that she comes back down.
I hope she does. I just love battles. So I'm
Me
like,
too.
come
Talk about
down, let's
deadlift
see it.
specialists. If it
Yes.
was me, Joy, and Shad, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. It would be crazy, but so much fun.
Okay, was there any takeaway at all from the whole Sheffield experience that you're like, okay, I would do this differently next time? Doesn't even have to be like meet day.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, now that I know what to expect, I think that going into Sheffield, I would try to work a little bit more on not letting the hype get to my mentality so that I can walk out a little bit more confident for that opening squat. Because that was just like the hardest lift was opening squat. And now that I know what to expect, like it's easier now that you know you've done it, but just not letting the hype and the kind of craziness of the atmosphere get to you too much. It's easier said than done, but that is one thing that I recognize that I let get to me was just the crazy atmosphere of the crowd, like right off the bat.
That's good to know because I do remember scroll all the way back to Megan Nats like a long time ago, and that's what you told me. You were like, I let like the build up
Oh
kind of
yeah,
get to me, and you're
yeah,
paying more
yeah,
attention. I think that was the turnaround where you're like, I no longer pay attention to my competitors because I was paying attention to the
yeah.
board.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I still do that. Like I never listen to a preview show or podcast about the meet I'm doing. And I usually don't listen to it afterwards either. Cause
That was
like
my next question.
like sometimes I will, but for the most part, no. It's just not something that benefits me anymore or something I care to hear about. So I've just got a little bit, it's a little bit hard not to notice the Sheffield hype when it's so pushed in your face online and you're part of it and you're doing all these interviews and you're expected to talk your shit. It's a little bit harder not to let that kind of make you more nervous.
And one thing too, because I know in the past you used to listen to previous shows, I feel like for certain people, as you become a greater lifter and you end up doing these bigger level meets, it's like a whole different field because at first it's like, oh, you're just happy they recognize you, but now you're like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
now it's a little
Yeah.
different.
Like when I was first, making myself a little bit more known in the powerlifting community, I'd be like, oh my gosh, Two White Lights knows who I am. They followed me back on Instagram or something. But now it's like, okay, what's going to benefit me to do the best in my sport? And that's not listening to these preview shows. It's listening to Post Malone and getting hyped to go to the gym.
I love this. Okay, so did you do anything after Sheffield over? Did you travel anywhere? Go around London maybe?
Um, no, the only thing that I stayed for was the banquet. Oh my God. And I stayed up for 36 hours straight to watch the Super Bowl. Oh, and then I caught my flight and then it was 25 hours of travel. No wonder I got so sick. That
I'm
was,
about to say that's why you were sick. There you
I was
go.
literally sick. Oh Lord. I stayed up the entire night from the banquet to watch the Super Bowl. And then by that time it was 4 a.m. And then my flight, the shuttle to the airport left at 5:30. So I just packed for an hour and then left and then left to catch my flight. Yeah, that's all I did. I didn't travel, do anything this time around. I just had too much work to do, honestly, when I came back. So I didn't do too much traveling.
So speaking of work, I think the last time we spoke, you were talking about how you were powerlifting coaching and working, I forget, like at a factory as a manager.
Yeah, I was a project manager at a textile manufacturing plant. Very
I'm proud of myself for
exciting.
that.
Yeah.
I was probably didn't completely forget it was. I'm like, I think it was this.
That
Are
was
you
pretty good.
now
Yeah.
are you now a full-time coach?
Yes. Yeah. As I think July of last year at some point, whenever July or August of last year was my last day working a traditional day job, and I've been doing full-time coaching ever since then.
Okay, so tell me how that is, because that means from July to now, so we're in February. You're like 8-ish months. I can't count or do math. 8-ish months in.
Yeah.
What's it like being full time working for yourself?
Working for yourself is an incredible blessing, I would say. Like, you really do get what you put into it. And I've been lucky enough to kind of have like some mentors because there are other people doing it in this kind of sport industry, but it's been awesome. Really, like, long answer short, it's awesome. I love the people I work with. Like, all the athletes are 99% amazing. Like, it's so fulfilling to be able to do this as my job and love powerlifting and see people enjoy it as much as I do. It's just excellent. And then hopefully we can just keep growing in 2024. The goal is to kind of grow the roster a little bit and just start putting out a little bit more content now that I feel like I have my feet planted on the ground. So hopefully can expect some more of that stuff this year.
Hey, well, we definitely
Yeah.
expect more content.
Yeah. Some
Who are
content.
these? Who are the people who you look up to as mentors in piloting?
Definitely Steve. It's like if I have a question on coaching or how he's running a certain process, because there's a lot besides Google spreadsheets and just answering
Yes,
people. There's a lot: financing, taxing. You still have to do those. You're an adult.
I know.
Structuring, how you want to go around your weekly schedule, or how you want to do your pay cycle. There's a lot that goes into powerlifting coaching that's not necessarily talked about. So I will send him a couple questions, and he's always super nice answering those. And then, like, I think I've even, I can't remember, I think I've asked you questions on that too. But I just ask people
You asked
who have
about
been
PayPal. That's
yeah,
it.
I ask people who've been coaching for a while, like, what they kind of do for XYZ issues and things like that. There's just so many people who are so willing and helpful to see the sport grow with more powerlifting coaches. So it's been awesome getting that kind of feedback.
No, I'm happy you're talking to so many coaches, because one thing that like changed my whole business last year was really going on my way to network with other coaches and like realizing how much they want to help other people. Like
Yes.
truly a lot of them want to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Especially
think
when they're
like,
fully booked.
oh yeah. Like, people are so nice. And I think the best thing you could do if you're a prospective coach yourself is just start talking to other coaches. And if you ever have a question on, it could be anything, just ask. Just throw it out there. Like, people will answer. Like, it's not, like a cutthroat business where people are going to tear you down for asking a question. Like, people want the sport to grow, because when it grows, it brings in more money and more eyes, viewership for everyone. So it just gives a good benefit to everyone. Yeah.
I love it. Tell the people the name of your business, if you're taking clients, how to contact you for coaching.
Yes. So my business or coaching is called Objective Strength. I have Instagram. It's called Objective Strength, or at objective_SP. I am currently looking to take on clients. I do powerlifting coaching one-on-one and then nutrition coaching as well. So if you have a question, just shoot me an email. It's linked on my Instagram page. And if you have any other questions, shoot me a DM.
And I can personally attest nutrition coaching is awesome, which is why I'll get back to you at some point when I get off my ass. I can't promise you when, because I have been on my ass, but I will get off it eventually. Get you
It's a
back up,
promise.
girl.
Uh,
But thank you for joining me. I love talking to you, Natalie. You're always fun to
yes.
talk to. You were so great to watch. I love your parents now.
Oh my God.
We all need to go get dinner at some point.
Yes. Come on down to North Carolina.
Hey, but thank you again. And y'all catch you next time on the Power and Lifting Podcast.